Hi, I'm going to try a video on perspective drawing related specifically to the cone, and even more specifically to imagining the cone as an arrow that is pointing both either up or down, left or right, and also, possibly most importantly, indicating whether it's aiming toward the viewer or away from the viewer. So that's what this is going to be about. And I think it's one of the first forms that I really started playing with and felt like, wow, I'm starting to understand the sense of closer and further away and direction, actual direction, when it comes to trying to draw. So what I'm going to do is kind of show you some stages here. Usually I start out with some kind of arrowhead, just triangle. Actually, technically, maybe I'll start with just that. And at this point, I want to create an ellipse down at the bottom, so I give myself these guides. And then I draw that ellipse. And finally, I think I'm going to do it down here. That's hurting my arm. Sort of clean things up in a way that makes it appear like I want a little bit more. And it's important for this this stick part of this cone head arrow to be a little bit, yeah, it depends on it. If this edge is the closest to me, then I want this to be a little bit closer to the bottom, this point. I'm not going to obsess on that. So that's the basic idea. I want to do that again. Well then, by all means you should, James. I'm going to switch pages here in just a sec and show you some different directions, as well as one of the coolest things I think about learning how to draw the cone and just getting a sense of the importance of overlap and planes, visible planes and not visible, and wait a minute, what? Visible and not visible planes. That's what I was trying to say. Let me do one trying to go in a different direction just while I'm on this page here. So if I was doing something in a different direction, the tricky part is to make sure that this line is perpendicular to this line. That's not so tricky when you're just going straight up and down and straight side to side. I find it very tricky to really get an accurate perpendicular line when you're drawing things at angles. But that's really one of, if not the most important aspects for understanding ellipses in circles, tilted cylinders, and ellipses in perspective. So that's a quick and dirty idea of what something like that would be. If I make this stick too long, then usually it ends up veering off and not being really perpendicular. But that's the idea for that. I'm also going to just reinforce the idea of overlap, the importance of overlap, and visible planes. And I'm going to try to do two very similar ones right here. So let me see, I want my triangle arrowhead. I want to make sure this line is perpendicular with that. Maybe worth mentioning, I want to make sure that it's not just any triangle, but that this distance is the same as this distance. So it's a symmetrical triangle. I'm going to start off both of these in a similar fashion. Yes, I'm going fast, so there's imperfections, which is okay for this. But one of the things I find fascinating about indicating direction with cones is that hopefully it's somewhat clear that both of these cones are aiming away from the viewer, and that is in no small part due to the fact that I can see this bottom ellipse. As well as this overlapping stick line thing. Oop. So that's not that thrilling and exciting, but over here well, I think it is actually, but what's even more thrilling and exciting, I hope, is that if I get rid of that ellipse, even though I know it's in there, back there, and I make sure now that this stick is being overlapped by this lower part of the cone, that now, hopefully this is reading as something that is starting further away and getting closer. That's a bigger discussion, but I do find it fascinating that at some point when it seems like your brain understands which way this is going, and if you switch things around, it inverses, and your brain all of a sudden says, oh, wait a second, I thought you were going. So check that out, play with that, go slower, and do it in any and all sort of directions, pointing up, pointing down, left, right, towards, away, and have fun with that.